Another tour of another new yacht in Australia, the Jeanneau
Sun Odyssey
415. Lee is going to take us for a tour. Lee, let's go and have a look at this boat. Sure. What's so unique about it? Talk as we walk down and have a look.
Yeah, we'll do. So this is the first model to the Asia Pacific, hull number 7. Typically in a Jeanneau production run, they would build probably 600 of these boats. One of the things about this boat which is unique is a patented sloping side deck, which you'll see as we walk back.
Yep. So when you're on a lean...
So, well, whether you're at anchor or you come alongside the dock and you want to step on and off to get fuel or water or anything, you don't have to climb up over the coaming to come round onto the side deck.
Oh, nice. So the only one in Australia at the moment?
Yep, yeah, first one. There's a couple more on the way. One of the things with the sloping side deck is the coaming can then be higher. And you can see on this boat we've got these roll down side screens. So when they're in place like they are on the starboard side there, you can still walk around to the side deck without actually taking anything out of the way. Oh, nice. So that the cockpit can be enclosed. It's not 100% waterproof, but it keeps out most of the rain and the wind.
And the wind, yeah, yep.
The swim platform is electric and it has a remote. So as you approach in your dinghy, you can actually raise the platform with your remote in your dinghy, and it makes it really easy to get on and off.
Ready to go.
Yeah. And because of these modern hulls having so much volume, it means that even though you've got that sloping side deck, there's no compromise. It's still a big, comfortable cockpit space.
Yep.
Obviously, the twin wheels. It's also got twin rudders. So that combined with the hull chine gives the boat an enormous amount of grip in the water and balance and stability. So very, very high stability on these boats. You can see that both main sheet and headsail sheets are led back to primary winches by the helm. So one person can actually sail the boat on their own if nobody else wants to get involved. If they do, they can come back in front of the wheel and they can trim a sail from that side. So if you're tacking up wind, you'll lock off the main sheet and then just use the primary winches for your headsail sheets as you tack. The boat's got so much stability you don't need to ease the mainsail, before you tack. And then up forward on the port side, we've got an electric winch that does all the hard things. So mainsail halyard, the Jeanneau furling line is fed to the electric winch. So the cover from here forward to the rear of the Dodger, it zips out, so you've got full visibility when you're sailing. And you can see we've got sight windows in the dinghy, so from the helm station you can actually see the top of the main and watch your wind direction.
Very important.
So, very important. You've got a life raft locker under this one here, and then the gas locker and more storage space on the port side. The visibility when you're sailing here, you've got a really good line of sight forward. Sitting outboard, obviously helm there, you've got electric anchor winch control with a chain counter, we've got a bow thruster, and then on your chart plotter there's also a repeat function on the side here, so you've got the autopilot, and then there's another autopilot control here. Engine controls are on the side of the cockpit table there.
Yep.
So that's kind of the essence of the exterior of the boat. We've got 2 more cockpit lockers under here.
Yep.
This boat is a 2-cabin layout, so I'll take you down below. So we've got a very traditional sort of layout, L-shaped galley adjacent to the companionway. You've got front end top loading, 180 litre fridge, locker space everywhere. The batteries are actually mounted under this lid here, so the weight's kept low, which helps with the stability of the boat as well.
Still AGM?
AGM, yeah, 4 120 amp AGMs, and that's a freezer. That's a freezer there.
Oh, yep, lovely. And if people were to, do a round the world trip or whatever, I suppose you can add solar to the boat.
Yeah, well, I've got one of these sailing back actually from France, a couple from Sydney over the next 2 years. So they sent me a message this morning. They'll be in Venice tomorrow. So they're going to do that. We've also had another one, because this is the same hull as the last generation, one that did 7,000 miles over 12 months around Australia. Went from Sydney up to Lizard, then down, circumnavigated Tassie, then across to Port Phillip, and then west and around back to Perth.
Yep.
Done lots of miles. Shaft drive, so you've got no sail drive maintenance,
Nice.
which we like.
What sort of motors it got in it?
Yanmar 45.
Yep.
Loads of power, quiet, fuel efficient, pretty hard to go wrong.
Yep.
This particular boat has the workshop after port. You can put another mattress in there, but it's supposed to be configured with a workshop there instead. And then after starboard, we've got the guest cabin.
Lovely.
3 opening ports in there, so you've got plenty of
Bit of
ventilation.
airflow, yep.
And then this one, single head.
Lovely.
Very conventional, occasional table with your instrument panels. On the instrument control here, we've got batteries, so you've got your consumption, your percentage capacity and the voltage. And then we've got all the water tanks, so both water tanks and the fuel. And then shore power as well.
Do you know how many litres for the water?
Water is 530, so
wow,
it's pretty generous, and the fuel's 240.
All right.
So you've got about 400-mile nautical range under power.
Yep.
Boat's stability index is 40. This is actually the shoal draft. With the shoal draft, it's 40, index of 42, which is very stiff. 1.55 draft keel, winged keel. No compromise in performance to the standard keel, believe it or not. And we've tested it. I did a regatta 3 weeks ago, Sail Port Stevens regatta in a shoal draft 350. We were two boating with a sister ship with the standard keel. Couldn't tell the difference. So,
what sort of knots are you getting on a trip? Like, what is it sort of averaging?
Well, this got sailed up here last week from Sydney. They were sitting on 8 knots in westerly reaching conditions. The couple that are getting to Venice tomorrow, they've done 12 and a half knots in a sea state. Yeah. But really balanced. I mean, it's just the helm is so light. It doesn't matter what conditions you're in. Nice. And you don't need to reduce sail. It's efficient to take the first reef in at about 19 knots true wind, because there's no need to overheel the boat. Yep. It just doesn't achieve anything. Yes. So that's your first reef. So full sail up to that point comfortably. Nice. So that's pretty good. Yeah. This particular boat has the conversion kit to drop this tabletop down, and the cushions back there that drops on here, so it forms another bed, occasional double if you want that. And then the thing about these modern hulls and the volume that they have is the volume forward. So a generation ago in yacht design, you couldn't have a forward cabin with this sort of space, fully rectangular bed. You can use normal bedding, lots of locker space. I mean, even under here, you've got slide-out drawers. There's 2 big lockers up there. Behind the doors, a hanging locker and a shoe locker. So given the stability of the boat, you could still use this at sea? Yeah. They used it on the way up here from Sydney. And oh, nice, yeah. Because sometimes you do sort of lose that a bit, don't you? One of the misnomers about these modern hulls is that they would be uncomfortable in a sea state. Yep. In fact, that's not the case. All right. If you look at the waterline shape of the boat, it's actually quite fine, but it flares aggressively. And what that does is actually throws water wide. So they don't slam any differently to any other boat. If you get in a nasty sea state, any boat will be uncomfortable. But they're really upright. It takes a lot to get the boat to overheel. Yep. So you got lots of floor space here, really comfortable cabin space. Overhead has Mozzie screen one way and blinds the other. Oh, fantastic! And then you can see these are aircraft blinds, sky blinds. So completely blocks out. So you've got plenty of visibility, really, haven't you? That's great. Like in my boat, I've got to poke my head up through the well, that's part of the design. You can see it in the windows behind you there as well. It's at seated height. Here, you've just got a panoramic view of the anchorage that you're fantastic, yeah. Very nice. So, as I say, it's a very traditional sort of layout, but it's all nicely done. And if someone was looking at buying one of these, Lee, what sort of price? This boat, as you see it, with the options that it's got on it, was $700. $700, yeah. All right. And if you were going to deck that out to go around the world,
with solar and whatever, you'd probably add another 100, 200.
Well, the boat that's sailing back over the next 2 years, they've added a Target Davit system, which was an option from the factory with solar. That was 22. They've stuck with the standard battery capacity, which is 4 120 amp AGMs. It's fine with that. What else have they added?
It sounds like there's enough water. If you've got 500 litres, that's plenty of water, plenty of fuel. That doesn't need to be...
I've sailed from here back to Europe. That sort of water capacity is plenty. And in my experience, I went through 17 countries. We never had a problem. We never got sick getting water locally. We never had a problem with dirty fuel. I mean, you go to any fishing village, they don't want to put dirty fuel in their trawlers and their fishing boats.
No.
You know, we never had an issue. Fuel tank is plastic, so it doesn't sweat, so you don't have an issue with bacterial growth or anything like that. In
nice.
Polymer tanks. So that's fine. So, you know, you can... I'm just trying to think what else they added on that boat. We put an extra plotter, so there's a plotter at each helm on that boat. Dinghy, put an asymmetric spinnaker in a sock. That's about it.
So you're pretty much ready to hit the travel the world.
Yeah, they're sailing back here, and they're going to do the end of this med season. They'll do the Arc Rally across the Caribbean, do a season in the Caribbean, then through Panama and back across the Pacific.
So for yourself, Lee, you sound as though you're a very keen sailor.
Yeah.
This boat, you think, is for someone who you know is right into their sailing and want a performance boat that's also got the stability and safety.
If you enjoy your sailing, if you enjoy the experience of sailing, then these generation boats are just a delight to sail. They really are. They're rewarding. They're quick. They're comfortable. I mean, the couple that sail theirs back to Perth, very, very experienced owners. They've owned Bavarias and Benettos and lots of different models up to 47-footer during their lifetime. And they spent that 12 months sailing the boat back to Perth and up and down the East Coast, and said it is hands down the best boat they've ever spent time on.
Wow.
Go anywhere on. In fact, they're going to do the Indonesian rally next month.
Well, that's a big call then, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, very capable, really strong boats, really sturdy. When they got to Perth, Adrian rang me and I said, okay, you know, to be honest, what issues have you had? He said, nothing. Nothing's moved, nothing's broken, nothing. So the boat has been awesome. So that's all you can ask.
Yeah.
And, you know, the secret in any boat, it doesn't matter what yacht you've got, preventative maintenance. Keep on top of stuff, look after it, and it'll look after you. And that when I sailed to Europe, you know, that was the thing, was not getting to a situation where things were failing in the first place.
Yeah.
And still had a few issues.
Yeah.
But few and far between.
Lee, thanks for your time.
No trouble. You're welcome.
Lovely.